Welcome back. So where do all these wildfires occur? Obviously, they happen here in Arizona. Where else? Well, let's break it down into human-caused versus natural-caused lightning-caused fires. So as far as human-caused fires, 67% of all human-caused fires are started in the southern and eastern areas of the U.S. So for the most part, most human-caused fires out on the south, down in the south, or over in the east. Oop, what just happened there? Let's go back. Tens of thousands. Whereas if you look in the southwest, much less. So most human fires, again, based on these average statistics here, happen in the east and southern areas. And as far as acres burned from human-caused wildfires, again, the southern area kind of dominates. 36% of all acres burned by human-caused fires are in the southern area. So I don't know what they're doing down there in the south, but it's very humid and plenty of moisture, but they're burning stuff evidently. Maybe they're out shooting a bunch of things and blowing things up. It's I don't know. In my mind, that's what they're doing. So what about natural or lightning-caused fires? Well, on average, the southwest area reports the most lightning-caused fires. Much more wild areas, much more wide open, much more dry. So those initial strikes of lightning can cause some very big, in this case, fires. Because if we look at acres burned around the country, Alaska number one. Over a million, almost 1.5 million acres burned on average yearly, just because there's just so much wild area, and if a lightning strike occurs, no one's really going to care that much to go and put it out if it's not going to threaten people, businesses, houses, whatever. All right, it happened, let it burn, moving on. So back in 2021, they just kind of released some stats as far as breaking it down by states, regardless the cause of the fire. It turns out California, as a state, number one in the number of fires and number one in acres burned by a lot. Number one in number of fires by almost double. Number one by acres burned by almost 3 times as much. So if you're worried about wildfires, California's not the place to be. Arizona comes in 10th on that list as far as number of fires, but 5th as far as acres burned. So we're up there. Let's see. Now this looks at estimated number of properties at risk. So because of all the wildfire activity in 2021, how many homes in these states were at risk? Surprise, surprise, California, number one, 2 million properties are at risk for wildfires. Where in Arizona, we're 4th on the list, 242,000. Now, as far as percentage of houses at risk, so this is just sheer numbers, but the percent of houses at risk, even though California has over 2 million houses at risk, that's only 15% of their houses. Whereas Montana only has 137,000 properties at risk, but that's almost 30% of all the houses in Montana. 1 in 3 houses is likely to burn down in a wildfire in Montana. Those are not good odds. Idaho, 26%, it's about 1 in 4. Those are not good odds. Arizona, 9% of houses in Arizona are at risk. So that's like a 1 in 10 shot of your house burning down due to a wildfire in Arizona. As far as the costliest wildfires in the U.S., the Camp Fire in California, and in fact, most of these, I have it blocked off, but all of these are in California. So the 10 costliest wildfires to ever occur in the United States, almost all happened within the past few years. Some had 1991, 2007, but most 2017, 2018, 2020. All in California. And the Camp Fire was actually caused by malfunctioning sparking power lines. Ended up burning 153,000 acres, almost 19,000 structures burned down, 85 deaths, and cost over $10 billion. But yeah, so the costliest wildfires, not necessarily the biggest, but the costliest, all happen to occur in California. So where in the U.S. are the big wildfires? Because in the South, I talked about, those are mostly little small ones. Well, every dot here is a wildfire greater than 250 acres, which is pretty big. If you own that much land, that's a lot of land. So from 1980 to 2003, the stats really haven't changed that much, but you can see out here in the West is where most big fires occur, most wide open, most open spaces. They tend to burn longer. So each of these is 250 acres or bigger, which is about 4 times the size of EMCC campus. If you think of EMCC campus and what we have going on here, a big wildfire is 4 times the size of this whole campus. So that's a lot of stuff to burn down. What about in Arizona? Where are some of our largest wildfires? Starting from 6 to 1, the Woodbury Fire in 2019. Human activity caused that one. The bushfire in 2020. Vehicle fire, side of the road. Human activity. The Horseshoe 2 in 2011. Human activity. Catch my drift. Cave Creek Complex, so not too far from here, just northeast of Phoenix, 2005. Lightning. Oh, there we go. Natural. And then you have the Rodeo Chedinsky Fire, 2 different fires that grew into one mega fire. So, in the rodeo fire, the first one, a firefighter, a wildland firefighter, a firefighter who fights wildfires, was looking for work, so he started a fire, which became the rodeo fire. Yeah, they figured it out. He got a 10-year sentence for that one. And then the Chedinsky Fire, so there was a hiker whose car had ran out of gas. So they set another fire, a different fire, to get the attention of a news helicopter pilot on the way to the rodeo fire. Oh, crap, I'm out of gas. There's a helicopter going that way. I'm going to set a fire to get that thing's attention. And that sparked the Chedinsky Fire, and then they eventually became one big fire. What a hot mess. And then the Wallow Fire, Camp Fire, that's the largest one in the state. As you can see, all of these happened within the past 20 years or so. And the reason for that obviously has to deal with climate change. Climate change. Climate change. So just to really quickly touch on the Wallow Fire in 2011, over 522,000 acres burned. So looking at the Wallow Fire here, so I see kind of, it looks like a footprint, but the heel, and that's kind of why where the wildfire starts is called the heel, because it looks like a footprint, and if we can imagine a V-shaped here, and meaning the wildfire probably started somewhere down in this location, which it did, and kind of burned again over 500,000 acres. That's a massive wildfire, the biggest one in Arizona. It narrowly missed some of these bigger towns off on the eastern edge of Arizona. Here's the boundary between Arizona and New Mexico. So to put 522,000+ acres in reference, that's as big as pretty much everything, all the way from the 303 over on Goodyear, all the way out to Apache Junction. That's 522,000 acres. So all of Phoenix, all just burnt, just done, just burnt. Another famous wildfire, very famous in fact, world famous wildfire that occurred in Arizona, happened back in 2013, is the Yarnell Hill Fire. I'm not going to say too much about this because we do have a group possibly presenting on this at the end of the semester. So just to touch on, just to put it on your radar, it was a wildfire that occurred near Yarnell, Arizona. That's kind of between Wickenburg and Prescott. Started by a lightning strike, so naturally caused. It was very fast moving. It was definitely not one of the largest wildfires in Arizona, burning only 8,400 acres. Small as far as wildfires are concerned. But it did destroy about 200 homes and businesses up in the area. But what made it so world famous is that it was the deadliest wildfire in Arizona history. 19 firefighters from the Granite Mountain Hot Shots team were killed, when the fire kind of overtook their position. They've made movies on this. So anyway, more on this probably at the end of the semester as we hear presentations. Yarnell, is located here again between Wickenburg and Prescott. So if you're ever driven the 60 out of town through Wickenburg, kind of up through Congress, kind of up into the mountains, then you get to Yarnell. Cute little artist town, but high desert, dry, grasses, brush, sparked by lightning. Things happen. By the way, if you ever need to go to Prescott, forget going the 17 and taking the 69. That's boring. Go this back way. It's much more gorgeous. FYI. It takes about the same amount of time, too. The 2021 U.S. wildfire statistics. I was only able to put a few together because stats are somewhat hard to come by because there's not usually just one organization overseeing all of this. It's different states, it's different counties, it's different municipalities, and I'm trying to put all this data together. So in 2021, there was over 58,000 wildfires in the U.S., burning over 7 million acres of land, and I could not find a number of deaths. Again, just with all these different organizations putting all these different stats together, it's just not there. However, in Arizona, I was able to find a little bit more specific information. So last year in 2021, 1,773 wildfires, 524,000 plus thousand acres of land burned, and only 2 deaths in Arizona. As of April 3rd of 2022, these are all the current wildfires around the country. The yellow ones indicate new within the past 24 hours. You can see for now, there's a bunch of them out in the east and in the south. And there's a new one just north of Phoenix. In fact, and I just saw it on the news not a few minutes ago, the I-17 up near Black Canyon City is shut down because there's a wildfire kind of in proximity to the highway. Excuse me. Interesting to know. So, when we'll pause here. When we come back, we'll talk about the effects of wildfire in the geologic environment and kind of vice versa. So, people often wonder, like, well, what the heck? What does this have to do with geology? What do wildfires have to do with geology? Well, come on back for section 5 and you'll learn all about it. See you then.